We're going to turn this place into this, a fully functional editing and recording space that is just ready to go. This place just makes me so happy. I just feel so inspired to just come down here, hit record, get into action, and I think past me is going to be quite pleased with what has actually been happening here. Now, if you're wondering about all the equipment that actually ended up in the studio, like the microphones, the lights and all that kind of thing, you will need to watch my YouTube studio tour video. And let's just get back to the building because that's what you came for. I have no idea what you just saw. I'm very curious what I'm about to build, especially because I'm about as capable at building as... So, first thing I want to do is I want to actually finish this attic. This used to be completely bare bones, bare bricks, late 1930s. But ever since I first stepped into this house, I always felt like this attic has immense potential and I really want to turn it into like my place where I do my recording. A friend of mine came in, he put in drywall, thank you very much class. Later on my dad came in, he put in the electricity, and then I kind of roughly finished it with some painting and then just left it as was for about a year. Now this unfinished room just needs like a little more... Okay, these things are heavy. These are my good old trusty IKEA worktops. I have two of them. They've been with me in 3 different houses, and you can actually tell that they are getting quite old and greasy and dirty, and also I would like them to be darker. So let's start the day with just giving these some varnish, some old oak varnish, so they are a little bit darker, and they'll be a little bit more contrasty with my skin tones and whatever is on the tabletop. Okay, so we've cut and measured 21 of these pieces, which is quite impressive. It went better than expected, fingers crossed, because the next step will be gluing them to the wall. But before we do that, we've actually decided that we want to paint them black so they match the rest of the roofing. So this is going to take a couple of hours longer. Let's do it. Good morning. So I'm very happy to wake up and see that everything is still hanging on the wall, everything is dried, so now we can actually start working on setting the scene. And then once we have set the scene, we can work on controlling the sound, which you can hear is pretty atrocious, and also controlling the light. But before we can control the light, the sound, like where it's pointed, what it's bouncing off, how loud or quiet it is and all that kind of thing, we need to know where we're going to be sitting to film. Day 3 of our building project, massive cup of tea, and I'm almost ready to go. But before I do, the goal of today is to build this whole structure that is going to support our paneling and our padding, with the goal of limiting sound reflection. So you just have to imagine the place where we're sitting with the microphone. That's the place where you shoot your billiards from. So as soon as you hit the billiards, I start speaking, this sound is going to go all over the place. It's going to hit surfaces and then it's going to bounce back off of these surfaces just like billiard balls do. And then it's going to go in all directions and eventually come back to you. And this reverb that you're hearing here, this church-like vibe that we have going on, is basically because all of these billiard balls are coming back to this point at different speeds. So this creates this undesired effect, which is really, really hard to master in post-production. So we need to control the reflective surfaces. So we're not building a soundproof box, we're just trying to limit the bouncing, which is going to make this attic look less appealing, but it's going to make it sound a lot better from where I'm sitting, where I'm recording. So before I start to build here, I would like to show you the acoustic treatment stuff that I ordered from this company called Acoustic. I don't know if you can see this on this camera. Acoustic. I basically ordered it from the Thomann.de music store. It's really, really expensive, but let's hope it works really well. And also the thing is with professional acoustic treatment gear is it is treated to be fire retardant, because all of this foam is really, really flammable. Imagine, the slightest thing happens, your whole studio catches on fire, and within seconds it turns into this massive torch. So that's a big difference between professional grade acoustic treatment stuff and then the cheaper stuff. So this kind of thing here, I have 4 of them. Those are going to go behind my computer monitor, where I'll be doing a lot of talking while I'm recording screen capture. And this strange structure, I have 4 of them, so I'm going to orient some of them like this, some of them like that. And then what this should do is make the sound bounce back in all kinds of different directions. So it's going to absorb a lot of the frequencies. And the frequencies, that's another thing here. So you have high-pitched sounds, you have low-pitched sounds, and they have different shapes, physical shapes. So the high-pitched ones are like really, really fast-going, short ones, and then the low-pitched ones, the bassy ones, big rolling ones. So in order to trap those, you need different kinds of material. So you want something to trap those vibrations. And this thin foam, I mean, if you're a sound guy, you can already go, oh no, D3 picked the wrong thing. Like, yes, this is relatively shit. So this thin stuff only really limits reflections from like high frequency sounds. And these ones are just basically fillers for me, or like bigger places where I have to limit some reflections, because this is obviously not as expensive as, and here it comes, this kind of stuff. So this here, I think this is 8 centimeters. I don't know what's that in inches, 3 inches. And this 8 centimeter thick foam with this structure is going to really catch, really entrap a broader range of frequencies. So this is going to really, really help me limit the way sound bounces back, and the way it bounces back in ways that I don't want it to. So the mix of these 3 types of materials, like the back paneling, the small acoustic, thin acoustic foam, and the thicker acoustic foam, is really, hopefully, because I paid a lot of money for it, going to help me solve this problem today. So I'm not very much of a builder. This is essential, and that's what I'm going to do. Well, this is day 4, Dieter, this morning of day 4, and I'm hearing a helicopter, the windows open, the helicopter flying by. There's school kids screaming. There's a crane or some other machine doing construction work down the road. The street in front of the house is like this kind of like artsy cobblestones, which is not very quiet at all. And I live at like a T-junction, so every time a car needs to like, stop and then pull up or stop, make the corner, like, and rev up, all these sources of noise are always audible. I also have a train track running along the street, like 150 meters away. So lots of sources of noise that can enter the house here. And I find noise to be so distracting. You know, when you work yourself up to finally recording, and then, you know, you hear something intrude. You're like, no, come on, give me a break. Like, you finally worked up to like producing the script and then getting the courage together and then the lights, etc. And then as soon as you want to get going, the neighbor switches on his leaf blower, the lawnmower, a diesel truck pulls through the road, some guy on his new motorbike just decides to rev, and it's done. You're just like, oh, F me. Is it just me or you guys too? Because you've just seen me build this massive setup, you know, with all this padding trying to hide away. Sound is so important. Not only the way you sound on camera, but also what sound does to you. Or maybe I'm just being a hypersensitive bitch, which I am sometimes, but still, I must not be the only one. Doing all this sound work is so worth it. Day 4, I think it's day 4, day 5, I don't know, time has lost all meaning. It's been a long time, and today is the fun day that we're going to put in the gear, the mics, the computer, the lights, and we're almost finished. Well, if you're still watching at this point, it probably means that you're dabbling into building a little studio yourself. If you enjoy this kind of thing, and if you would like to see what I actually ended up putting in the studio and what I am recording with, lights, microphones, all that kind of thing, you can just watch my YouTube studio tour by simply clicking this video right here. Thank you very much for watching, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you on the next one.